Hey everyone, how's it going? Cell here, and welcome to my first build diary video for the Lightning Conduit Trickster in, if I can get it here, SSF Kalandra softcore. So I wasn't sure if I was going to play SSF this league or the league in general. I actually just played Trade League for a bit on an Ignite Vortex Elementalist for a while after not playing Trade League since 3.0, so that went pretty well. Wanted to get back into SSF, took forever to find a build, and then finally settled on this one. Having just played that Ignite Vortex Elementalist, the clear speed is absolutely ridiculous with Barracks Respite, so I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere close to that on SSF, so I wanted something a little bit more durable, more capable for like boss sustain, even if the damage isn't all that great. So I decided on Lightning Conduit Trickster. So if we look at the tree here, I am following loosely Garatha's build. He's playing solo self on, or played I guess solo self on hardcore. Not following it to a T necessarily, but kind of using it as a guideline, as I do more often than not these days. So yeah, mostly going with a pretty standard route here. I think a lot of people would take one step ahead instead of, I don't know, maybe Spellbreaker by this point, but Garatha and myself are both using Arctic Armor, so freeze immunity there, and then can get chill immunity on boots later, so that covers that element of the slows at least. Obviously the other ones are still going to be a consideration, but not a huge deal to me for what I'm going to get in return. So then in addition to that, currently also running Tempest Shield, Shock Immunity, and Spell Block is nice. Discipline, of course, for the extra ES, and Clarity for mana purposes. Yeah, notice I'm not running Grace, currently sitting at 5.5k evasion, 8.4k with the flask for a guy who can't take it off. Not really crafted or anything. All of my flasks and pretty much everything else are pretty terrible right now. But all in all, I haven't felt like Grace has been necessary. Even when I pick up Ghost Dance and a level or two here, I'm at about 160-ish ES recovery on hit, so I think that's fine for me for where I'm at right now. Last couple levels, you can see the tree here kind of went up through this way, picked up this life. The 10 life on kill is really good early on. Kind of came up this way and went for Breath of Lightning over here for the shock chance and the ailment effect. So wanted that specifically to start using Lightning Conduit as soon as possible, so need enough shock chance and effect to support using it, of course. I'm using Orb of Storms as my activator. And yeah, pretty much 28 onwards I was using a Lightning Conduit. And from there, path down through this life, kind of over to this way a little bit, picked up EO, then kind of went back this way a little more, some area of effect here, kind of went over to this life, picked up static blows somewhere in the middle of all that, and yeah, just now starting to fill out a little bit more damage because I'm at, let's see, a little over 5k combined life and energy shield, which for being level 69 is pretty good by my standards. So yeah, very satisfied with that, although I'll get to the gear in a second. Pretty shortly, I imagine, I'll probably start respecking some of these life nodes out, like this pathing here, to go down through this energy shield cluster here. And yeah, that should be pretty much that. Pick up some other energy shield elsewhere, perhaps. This cluster here is going to be another one as well. But yeah, the plan for this character long term, I should mention, Garatha mentioned that he felt his single target didn't really take off to satisfactory levels until he got a Thunderfist, which he said doubled his single target. I'm not going to count on getting a Thunderfist because I'm pretty sure it's pretty rare, but my plan instead is I'm not in hardcore, so I'm okay with a bit of a riskier playstyle, and what I'm going to do is see about going an Overleech ES strategy using Righteous Fire and Low Life. which combined will be about 80 or 81% more damage. So that should get us close to that mark, even without any other gear considerations. Yeah, obviously using the Overleech, and then I will probably spec into Ethereal Feast here, Light Eater here, pick up some masteries where necessary, and then Ghost Reaver. All that together would mean about 46% energy leech per second. So pretty much as long as you're dealing damage to enough things, I think you should be able to sustain RF alright. I'm going to have to experiment a little bit once I get to that point to see if I need to carry a Dowsing Flask or something, because obviously Ghost Reaver is going to turn off Energy Shield Recharge, not really going to have any other form of recovery outside of combat. Obviously you get a bunch from Trickster with Polymath, the recovery on kill, but the idea is if I need to let my RF expire, the only way to do that is to use a flask or let your life get reduced to 1. Then obviously if your life is 1, you either need to do something to recover it as well as your ES, or like portal out or something, which isn't ideal. So I'll have to experiment with that, see how it works, but I'm optimistic about it. As well as that, late game, I'm considering, or going to consider depending on how my suppression chance looks, speccing out a Spellbreaker and into Heartstopper, just to help with the degen half the time, and obviously hits the other half. So yeah, I'm ready to experiment with that a little bit, and if that doesn't go particularly well, maybe I will spec into One Step Ahead instead, and go with a different reservation other than Arctic Armor or something. The current plan for the low life trigger is to put either Tempest Shield or Arctic Armor and Clarity on life, pick up the life reservation mastery, I think. That would require me dropping the aura effect, which probably won't be too big of a deal. And then, yeah, put the other of Tempest Shield or Arctic Armor, Discipline, and Grace on mana, and that should leave me with enough mana to do things with, as well as other stuff being reserved on life. Gear, as I mentioned, nothing special, kind of typical, you know, crap you find while leveling. This has a lot of life, that's pretty nice, and a lot of stats. Pretty starved for dex. I even have a dex node with this 49 dex amulet. So, yep, had to stretch pretty thin to be able to cap my resists. I'm like bare minimum capped, and that's even with a mastery for 15%. This build gets a lot less resistance on the tree than I'm typically used to. I think it's literally just this 5% apart from this mastery, so that is not the greatest. My rings are actually pretty decent in life, mana regen, res. Same with this, but to a lesser extent, some cast speed. This body armor is actually pretty great, apart from being 4-linked, of course. Also, I'm on rank 2 of the crafting modifier, so it could go up even further, but if I take this off, yeah, it's providing like 1100 something ES right now, and that's only going to go up. The body armor itself is like an effective 400 something once you include Escape Artist. That's a 1 ES per 6 evasion. So yeah, this will be tough to switch out in terms of the effective HP pool at least, but hopefully I can find a 5 or 6 link or link something myself that is better, and go from there. That said, the damage hasn't felt all that bad. Even in like general single target things like the map bosses just get destroyed. And speaking of, I'm going to run one here real quick just to showcase the mapping here at the end. The playstyle is a lot smoother than I expected. It is a little bit clunky at times. Also, I'm like ridiculously slow right now. But I think there's a lot of room for improvement from various pieces of gear, most notably the Eldritch implicits, which I think is a good quality to have in a a League starter for one, and an SSF build for another. Eldritch Implicits are a lot more accessible than, say, like the old Conqueror influence of the previous expansion, so that should be pretty easy to come by, relatively speaking. There are a lot of like implicits in the range of usability, not necessarily like the be-all end-all, but something you're happy to just throw onto your existing gear and roll with until you get some more embers or ichors. Yeah, kind of I wouldn't call it a laid-back playstyle, but not the zoomiest, I would say. The clear speed is definitely a weaker point, but again, that can be improved by a number of things. The Eldritch Implicits, different link setups. I'm not running a chain on my Orb of Storms at the moment, so that would help quite a bit. I do have the Chain Mastery for +1 chain, if I can pick this thing up here. But yeah, I think links overall need to be improved. And which one is this? Let's see, Breach at 8. Sure. Let's see, yeah, just the either Prolif, Mastery, or what is it, Eldritch Implicit would allow me to drop LA Prolif. It's not quite as good a reach, but if that allows me to fit in Chain instead, that should be an overall clear speed increase. And you'll see this sometimes, the chains will hit well enough that, like, yeah, things way over here were shocked, even though the Orb of Storms was just right there. So what that generally means is the AoE is bigger than it looks most of the time, but it can get even more so with some upgrades. Also, this probably looks like the slowest map clear ever because I'm trying to commentate and do other things at the same time that I'm not used to, but promise it's not normally as slow. It's not the fastest, like I said, but go ahead and get this guy down. Oh, there's this as well, whatever it's called, Frost Shield. It's like a staple of ES character defense against the more face tanky situations. You basically store up your ES in this, drains a little bit at a time, to basically store a damage value in the shield. So yeah, that combined with other things allows you to face tank pretty effectively a lot of the time. I just gotta get used to using it. I might want to actually put it on a different keybind, because having to press Control in order to use it is kind of a pain. Anyways, that's pretty much the build as it stands. Level 69, almost 70. Having just entered maps, can give a /played and a /kills at the moment, just for reference. 32k. I would not have suspected it to be that high through the campaign, honestly, but pretty insane. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, thanks you very much for watching, and feel free to give it a like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Peace.